right, so today we're diving deep into a case that's got everybody talking.
It's definitely been hard to ignore.
It really has. The shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson and the arrest of Luigi Mangione, who police are calling, well, a strong person of interest.
Yeah, and it's a case with, well, it's got all the makings of a thriller, a shocking murder, a cross-country chase.
And then you've got a suspect with a digital footprint.
Oh, yeah.
It raises so many questions.
Right. And what I think is really striking is the contrast, right? Between Mangione's seemingly totally ordinary life and this incredibly serious crime that he's now connected to.
Yeah, how do you even begin to unpack that?
Well, I think we've really got to delve into his online activity, especially it feels crucial to figuring out what might have happened here.
All right, well, let's start with just the facts.
Okay, sure.
December 4th, Brian Thompson is shot and killed outside the New York Hilton Midtown.
Right in Midtown.
Yeah, and the police have been really clear about this. This was a targeted attack.
It wasn't random, no.
Not at all.
And you know what makes this case so unusual?
What's that?
I think it's the level of planning.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The shell casings they found at the scene, each one had a word on it.
No way.
Yeah, delay, deny, and depose.
Wow.
Like meticulously written on them.
That's chilling.
It really points to something more than just a crime of passion.
Right.
This feels symbolic, maybe even ideological.
Okay, so you've got these details that add this whole other layer.
Absolutely.
And then just a few days later, Luigi Mangione is arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
In a McDonald's, of all places.
Really?
Yeah, he was carrying fake IDs, and apparently an employee recognized him.
Oh, wow.
Called the police.
Can you imagine being that employee?
Oh, man, talk about right place at the right time.
Wild. So he hasn't officially been charged with Thompson's murder.
No, yeah.
But the police seem pretty sure he's their guy.
Yeah, they do.
So now we got to figure out why.
Right.
On the surface, Mangione just seems like an average guy.
Yeah, he graduated from UPenn.
Really?
Computer science and math degrees.
So smart guy.
Yeah, prestigious prep school.
It's not,
Doesn't exactly scream violent crime, does it?
Not at all, which I guess is why everyone's so focused on his online activity.
Right, that's a big
it holds the secrets.
Yeah, like his digital footprint is going to, unlock the motive or something.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so let's get into that.
Right.
What are we working with here?
Well, his online persona is, it's not so easy to categorize.
Okay.
For example, take his Goodreads account.
Okay.
He reviewed books on all kinds of topics.
Yeah.
Everything from Elon Musk and dieting to, and this is where it gets really interesting,
Go ahead.
the Unabomber Manifesto.
Hold on.
Yeah.
The Unabomber.
Yeah.
Like Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
The guy with the mail bombs.
That's the one.
That's intense reading for anyone.
It is.
Especially, in this context, it's very unsettling.
Yeah. And in his review, get this, he actually calls some of Kaczynski's predictions prescient.
Oh, wow.
About technology, the dangers of technology, erosion of individual liberties.
That's eyebrow raising on its own.
Oh, yeah.
But there's more, right? There's another quote.
There is. And this one is,
Okay.
He quotes someone online saying, "When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive. You may not like his methods, but to see things from his perspective, it's not terrorism, it's war and revolution."
Knowing what we know now,
right?
Those words they feel very loaded.
They do.
Yikes. And this seems to connect to his other online stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Especially his comments about big corporations.
The UnitedHealthcare.
Right, exactly. Remember those shell casings?
Oh, yeah, with the words on them.
Lay, deny, and depose.
Exactly.
So Mangione, he also shared this quote online, and it criticizes companies for putting profits ahead of people and the planet.
Yeah, and it reads, "These companies don't care about you or your kids or your grandkids. They have zero qualms about burning down the planet for a buck, so why should we have any qualms about burning them down to survive?"
Wow. Okay, so that's obviously extreme. But it gives us a glimpse into a certain mindset.
Yeah, one that might see violence as a justifiable response to corporate greed and power.
So we're starting to see a motive here, right?
Potentially.
Is this the kind of anti-establishment rage that could lead someone to kill?
It's a line of inquiry worth exploring for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, but there's so much more to unpack here, right?
Oh, there is.
In Mangione's online world.
Yeah, his activity on X.
X, right, because it wasn't all rants and manifestos.
No, not at all.
He was interested in a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like conservative tech thinkers.
Yeah, like Jonathan Haidt and Tim Urban.
Food culture, Japanese society.
Yeah, it's fascinating, It's like he's grappling with these really big questions, like about society and technology and the future.
Hmm.
He's following and retweeting content about declining birth rates, the political gender divide, the impact of AI.
Okay, so it's like he was trying to make sense of the world.
Yeah, but maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by it all,
Right, right. And yet mixed in with these darker, more serious themes.
Yeah.
There's this almost contradictory interest in things like
what?
Well, like Michael Pollan.
Right, the food writer.
Yeah, and Japanese efforts to boost their birth rate.
Right. It's almost like he was bouncing between these anxieties about societal collapse and this curiosity about how to improve things.
Huh. Is that common?
Oh, yeah. I think that kind of cognitive dissonance is pretty
Yeah.
common in online spaces.
That's true. People can hold really contradictory views online.
Sure.
But I mean, in Mangione's case, this is, well, it's just unsettling, right?
Well, absolutely.
Considering,
The potential connect.
to a violent crime.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like we're looking at these fragments of a puzzle.
Yeah, trying to figure out how they all fit together.
Yeah, well, this deep dive is just getting started.
Definitely.
Let's take a moment to kind of process all of this.
Good idea. Yeah.
And we'll come back and dig even deeper into the twists and turns of this case.
It sounds good to me.
Mangione came from what many consider to be a good family. He was an excellent student, a star athlete, but now is an accused killer. Senior national correspondent Brian Inton also live in Pennsylvania. Brian, what are you learning about Mangione and his life growing up?
Yeah, Nicole, we're live outside the University of Pennsylvania, where Mangione not only got his bachelor's degree in engineering, but also got a master's degree in engineering with a focus in artificial intelligence. He was smart. One of his friends I spoke to said this guy was good at everything. He was a star athlete. He was the valedictorian in high school. But something went wrong, Nicole. And that's what everybody is trying to figure out when this shift happened. We have learned that he was reported missing. This is a new piece of information. He was reported missing by his mother on November 18th, and she reportedly made the call to San Francisco police that he had gone missing. He had family connections to San Francisco. He was living in Hawaii at some point recently. He was staying at sort of a hostel-type dorm situation there where he was surfing and made friends, and friends who we spoke to in Hawaii said he complained a lot of back pain. He had had a back surgery. He suffered from back pain. We're told at one point he went surfing and was in so much pain that he had to stay in bed for a week. And some of his friends believe that may have contributed to his mental health. He had fallen out of touch with family members and close friends on social media. There were friends who were trying to get in touch with him over the last several months saying, where did you go? We haven't heard from you. Listen to what one of the friends from Hawaii told Chris Cuomo last night.
Not darker and not aggressive and not violent. I think that it's obvious to most people that are aware that many of the systems that we live within don't benefit us as well as they could. And, those are normal intellectual conversations and discussions that we have. And he and I had many of those kinds of intellectual conversations, but never anything remotely towards violence. He was never aggressive. I never even remember him once being upset.
So really everyone that we've talked to, Nicole, from his childhood, from his high school days, from when he was here at Penn, and also when he was in Hawaii, everyone's saying the same thing, that this totally comes out of nowhere, that he showed no signs of violence, and that he was all around really just a great guy, they say, Nicole.
Yeah, so talk more about what Mangione's family is saying, more about this statement that they released last night.
Yeah, so they put out this statement last night basically saying that they have very little information, that everything they're learning is coming from media reports, and also saying that they are praying for the UnitedHealth CEO, but not saying much beyond that. In terms of his family, we know that they're a powerful, very wealthy family in Maryland. The family has historically owned country clubs, they own a radio station, they own nursing homes throughout the state. One of his cousins is a Republican lawmaker in Maryland, so they are a well-connected family in Maryland. They did put out that short statement, but beyond that, they haven't said much else, Nicole.
All right, Brian Inton live for us there in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Is what they found on him.
Right.
Fake IDs, a ghost gun.
Oh, yeah.
You know those untraceable ones that are often 3D printed? And a handwritten manifesto? I mean, what the hell?
That manifesto is key, I think.
Correct.
It seems to give us some insight into his potential motives and mindset.
All right.
There are even passages that might connect him to the delay, deny, depose message on the shell casings.
So let's get to the point. Who is this Luigi Mangione?
Right.
He's a UPenn graduate, went to Gilman School.
It's important to note that many people engage with controversial content online without ever resorting to violence. However, in Mangione's case, there are some particularly troubling aspects to his online activity, particularly a Goodreads review of the Unabomber Manifesto, where he quotes a line about violence being necessary for survival.
Hold on, let me find that quote. Okay, here it is. He writes, "When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive."
Ooh.
I mean, Jesus, that's pretty fucked up to be endorsing that kind of thinking.
It is a chilling statement and speaks to a level of despair and potentially a willingness to justify violence as a solution.
Yeah.
But there's more to this digital trail.
Yeah. What do you make of that? Is this just a guy ranting online, or is there something more dangerous here?
Based on information coming out, it seems like he has lived with a pretty debilitating back issue that severely impacted his life, led to him having surgery recently. And according to reports, that surgery afterwards, he stopped talking to his family and became estranged to the point where his family reported him missing. Let's give you details. I'll give you some more of the details here of still moving parts. Again, he was charged with murder in Manhattan after being found in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Luigi Mangione, a University of Pennsylvania grad, comes from a well-off real estate family, prominent in their Maryland community. He was raised outside Baltimore in Towson, and his family owns 2 sprawling country clubs, a local radio station, and several other real estate holdings. In the weeks leading up to the shooting, he became estranged from his family and friends, according to law enforcement sources. Mangione's mother reported him missing on November 18th, possibly from a home in San Francisco, where he lived for a time, and reached out to his peers as they tried to track him down. The Ivy League college graduate suffered from a debilitating chronic and underwent major surgery for it in 2023, a friend told the New York Times. R.J. Martin, a friend of Mangione and spokesperson of Surf Break, a co-living space in Honolulu, where Mangione lived for about 6 months until April 2022, told the newspaper that Mangione had moved to Hawaii in a bid to get healthy, as healthy as possible in advance of the operation. His spine was kind of misaligned, Martin said. He said his lower vertebrae were almost like a ½ inch off, and I think it pinched a nerve. Is that photo? So you could see at the lower end, looks like 4 screws in his spine. And not to compare notes, but just so you know, kind of my out there from actual doctors saying this system is rotten. This system is corrupt. Let me play you this clip of a doctor raising alarm bells.
We as doctors have been crying, screaming on the top of our lungs regarding how lots of insurance companies are denying claims on a daily basis. And ultimately the bottom line is it's just that these issues have just resurfaced because of these incidents. But this has been going on for decades and years, and in fact it's getting worse.
Well, that's the thing. Is it getting worse? And speaking of being clear, I want to be clear, nobody's justifying violence, the killing of someone in cold blood in the New York City street, but it is highlighting these issues, to your point. What about it is getting worse?
Well, ultimately, here's the bottom line is when we as physicians order certain tests, whether it's for a patient going through chemotherapy or even something as simple as a mammogram, we're getting what's called a denial. This patient cannot get the mammogram unless you do something called a prior authorization.
Right.
And a prior authorization basically simply means giving the insurance company the ability to get back in the driver's seat and decide if they are going to pay for a procedure or not.
When you started, though, was that happening less? In other words, that's happening more now?
I think it's happening more now. I mean, I'm in my 20th year of practicing as a primary care physician. And I can remember way back when I was a resident how this was an issue. But now, we sometimes wonder as physicians, is it artificial intelligence that's the doctor, or is it people like us that are trying to advocate for our patients?
This whole case is a symptom of something much larger going on in society.
Exactly. This case is a disturbing example of the potential consequences of unchecked anger and disillusionment.
Yeah.
It raises some uncomfortable questions about where we are as a society.
So what are those questions? I mean, we've been digging into Mangione's story.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? What's the bigger picture? So I guess what I'm trying to understand is Luigi Mangione an outlier?
Right.
Or is he a sign of something more widespread? Are there others out there like him teetering on the edge, ready to take their online rage offline?
That's the question that keeps me up at night, to be honest. It's like we're living in this pressure cooker of anxiety and division, and it feels like anything could be the spark that sets it off.
And social media isn't helping, right? It's like an echo chamber for all this negativity and outrage.
Its fuel on the fire algorithms are designed to keep you engaged, to feed you content that confirms your biases, even if it's extreme or hateful.
So what's the solution?
Yeah.
Do we just ban all the crazy shit online? Because that doesn't seem very realistic or even desirable.
Censorship isn't the answer. It's about fostering critical thinking, media literacy, and open dialogue. We need to be having those difficult conversations about the things that divide us, trying to understand different perspectives and finding common ground.
Yeah, but how do we even begin to do that when everyone's so entrenched in their own beliefs? It feels like we're talking past each other more than we're talking to each other.
It's definitely a challenge, but it starts with each of us being more mindful of the information we consume, being willing to engage in respectful debate, calling out hate speech and misinformation when we see it.
Right.
It's not going to happen overnight, but it's essential if we want to create a healthier, more resilient society.
So what's the takeaway here for our listener? What should they be thinking about after we finish this deep dive?
I think the most important thing is to be aware of the forces that are shaping our world, aware of the dangers of online echo chambers, and aware of your own role in either perpetuating or challenging the narratives that are driving us apart.
And maybe put down the phone every once in a while and have an actual conversation with someone who thinks differently than you do.
Exactly. We need to remember that behind those avatars and usernames are real people with real feelings and experiences.
Well, that's a pretty sobering thought to end on. But I think you're right. This case, as messed up as it is, can be a wake-up call for all of us. We need to start taking these issues seriously before we see more tragedies like this unfold.
I agree. We can't afford to be complacent. The stakes are too high.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive into the Luigi Mangione case. And for those of you who want to go down the rabbit hole, we've included links to some of Mangione's online activity in the show notes. But be warned, it's a wild ride.
Just remember to approach everything with a critical eye and a healthy dose of skepticism. Thank you for tuning into our coverage of this developing story. We've been following the investigation into the shocking death of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and today authorities announced a major development, the arrest of a person of interest. Luigi Mangione, 26, was taken into custody in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Police say Mangione was found in a McDonald's carrying FIDs and a ghost gun, a difficult-to-trace firearm often assembled at home. He has not been charged in Thompson's death, but is considered a strong person of interest. To stay up to date on this case as it unfolds, be sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media, and share this video with anyone who might be interested. We'll continue to provide updates as we learn more.
Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay safe out there.